Hello, 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 everyone. This is Nicole M. Louie, the Social Worker Strategy Mentor. I hope that you are all well. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the Social Workers Launch to Freedom live case study part two. And I have a beautiful guest with me, one of my mentees, Sophia Sebi. And I just can't wait to introduce her to you and to share her journey and her story because she's just been doing so amazingly well. And those of you that may have seen her around in the community, if you're part of my community already, then you may have seen her around. And if you haven't, you're going to get to know her today. So the purpose of this is really just to share her story and to invite her to start talking about the similarities that you may have experienced as to where you are right now and where you want to get to. And so I'm hoping that it's going to be inspirational for you and it's going to be insightful. And so without further ado, I'm going to invite her up to the stage. Hello, love. You're on mute.
Was a mute. Hi, Nicole. Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Good, good. And I hope you've got a beverage. I have my water. I'm not doing so well, as you can see.
Uh,
Oh,
my
you look
lemons.
like you have a mocktail. What do you have in that?
I have some lemons. No,
Mm-hmm.
limes actually. It's not lemons. Lime and some juice.
Ooh,
Some
bougie.
cranberry juice.
I love that. I love that. You're giving me ideas. I think I'm going to go and press some apples after and throw some
Yeah.
limes and some things in there as well in my glass. I have some
Healthy
coconut
eating.
water. Maybe I'll do a little mocktail of sorts. Okay, I love it. Good. Okay, well, we've got our beverages. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me. I'm really, really excited to share your story and hear your story because whenever I do these case studies, I always learn something new about my mentees that I didn't know. And you
Mhm.
guys share things that I'm like, really? Oh, so I'm excited about this and to hear because I think of all my mentees, you have had the longest journey with me
Yes.
and I've seen the growth. I have seen the development in so many ways, and it is a pleasure to see, and it's exciting to see. You've just stepped into your own, and I'm loving and excited to see what's coming next. So we're going to reel it all the way back and tell me in just a few words, who is Sophia Sebi?
Oh, well, where should I start? But thank you, Nicole. Well, Sophia Sebi is a social worker. But I mean, as I suppose social work is an addition, but
Who
most
are you at
importantly,
your core? Like,
yeah, Sophia Sebi is an African girl to woman, you know, and Sophia Sebi is a mother of one, but a
mm,
mom to many. I
yeah.
have many children, but I am, I do have one child I care for, I look after.
Mhm.
She's a little 7-year old, but she's
Oh.
a blessing. And Sophia Sebi is also passionate about life in general. I'm passionate about mindset. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about, I think I would say I'm philosophical
Mm,
at the core.
mhm,
I'm a deep thinker. I am passionate about helping others. I love to see people being motivated. I thrive when others have come out of their shell. I'm sort of this voice. That's how I
mm.
see myself. I'm a voice of others, those who are voiceless. I am I like to think I am their voice. I
Love
am uh I think I am sort of that person who reasons and I think carefully about my actions and the repercussions. I'm also spiritual. So I love, the Almighty. Um I like to think that I put God first in everything that I
that.
do, but I also am a family person. I look after many, family members, but at the same time, I am also a hardworking person. I think, in a nutshell, I would say I am passionate about life. I love living life to the fullest.
Mhm.
I love to take care of others. I
Mm-hmm.
love to know that others are thriving, whatever they are doing, and I am open minded to different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say Sophia Sebi is.
Wow, that's a lot of things to a lot of people.
Yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
to yourself. I love that. So tell us a little bit about how you grow up. Where did you grow up? What was life like for you?
Well, I my life I suppose my childhood was quite colorful. I grew up in Africa,
Mhm.
Uganda to be precise.
Mm.
Uganda is based in East Africa, the East on the East African sort of in landlocked. It's not a how do you call it? It's not by the sea or anything like that. But we're people that are calm.
Mm.
We love life. We love to, you know, to look after others. So my culture was a culture of growing up with many cousins, or my life, sorry, was a life of growing up with many cousins. Grew up
Mm.
mainly with my grandmother, and my mom was always traveling, and my dad. But I grew up with my grandmother. I grew up in boarding school as well. I went to boarding school
Wow.
for most of
Okay.
my education, early education life.
Mm.
So I had to be a lot of this independent, but also
Mm.
very disciplined. So very
Boarding
disciplined.
schools are like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's one thing
So
they're going to give you is discipline in boarding schools.
yeah, lots of discipline, knowing you make your bed this way, you wake up, you do your prayers, you and
Right.
that communal living whereby
Mm.
you need to live by others. You don't live for yourself, you live
Mm.
for
Mm.
others. And I
Right.
think that's what's made me the woman I am today, because I am about living for others and I will give. But I think I'm someone who will give so many chances, but then I'll also know where I stop or I end that
Mm.
relationship. And if I end it, that's it. But yes, my life was very colorful. I, although, yes, okay, sometimes people might think that, oh, Africa, everyone is poor, but I grew up in a very sort of big house and all the space, and then to come to UK and have like like box houses. Yeah, I know it was a bit of a shock. But I left Africa or Uganda when I was 18 years old.
Right.
But I grew up mostly there. Did my primary school, did my secondary school, at least half of
Mm.
it, and then joined my mother who lived in the UK. And I have many siblings as this sort of polygamous family with,
Okay.
from my dad's side, I have many
Mhm.
siblings older than me even, and then have nieces,
Big
quite a lot,
family,
nephews. Yeah, big family. But in my sort of micro with me and my mom, we
a
have
nuclear family.
I have
Mm.
three siblings. So
Okay.
I'm the middle child.
Mhm.
So I'm a voice of reason most cases. So everyone consults with me, like, what should we do with this? What should we do with that? So I think naturally, that's what they see in me anyway, and I don't take it lightly. So but yes, family, and I love family. I'm always spending time with family, best
Mhm.
friends, whatever. That's my family. I'm a family orientated person, but
Love it.
I can be a very, you know good friend, and I'm a supporter of everybody that I have that energy with. I'm sure, as you know, Nicole, I've come to see you as my friend, not just
Mhm.
my mentor. So
Likewise.
yeah,
Yes.
so
It's been a
that's my
long
life.
time.
Yeah.
So life has been so tell me, when did you know that you wanted to be a social worker?
Do you know? So I came to UK 18. I'm living with my mom, with my brother, sister, and I'm working. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah. Okay, well, she's going to be coming back. So we've heard, see, that's what I'm telling you. I learn new things about my mentees all the time. So who knew that she grew up in a boarding school, where life is very different in boarding school, and who knew that she has such a huge family and actually was raised by her grandmother and then came to the UK when she was 18. So, okay, so let's pick up where you were. So go for it.
Yes, sorry about that.
That's okay.
The joys of parenting, huh? But yes, where were we? I was
So you
talking
were
about.
telling me about how, when did you know you wanted to become a social worker?
Yes, so I come to the UK. I'm 18. I get, I suppose, used to the culture. It was a culture shock because of the
Mm,
way I suppose my siblings were interacting with, you know,
mm,
mom and the environment. I'm thinking, oh, this is not. Where is the discipline? Where is the respect? Where is this? You know, like that
ah,
sort of authoritarian, you
okay.
know, where I grew up in. But anyway, I go through life. I'm predominantly in customer service. That's where I ended up in. I did want to be a air hostess, but something came up
Mm,
and I couldn't. Um,
okay.
and that I let that go of that dream. I did study some Spanish, went to college, did my travel
Mm,
and tourism, did study some Spanish as well. So I do
wow.
speak basic Spanish.
Oh, now you know what I'm going to ask you. Give me something.
um, ¿Cómo te llamas?
Oh, what did you say?
What is your name?
Oh, ¿cómo está Nico Louis? Is that right? Or did I just
Um,
make something else up?
yeah, you did. Yeah.
I do the same. Listen, I'm learning British Sign Language and I do the same all the time. I just make signs up that don't exist. I'm so sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry to all the Spanish people looking at this.
you could say me llamo
Me llamo
es Nicole.
es Nicole.
Yeah, my
Me
name is
llamo es
Nicole.
Nicole.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I I did go through. So I went through college. This is 19-year-old, and I'm going. I did, in fact, I did my travel and tourism in Brighton, and I think I've always been
Okay.
adventurous. So I would just
Mm.
up and leave. That sort of,
Oh,
I
you're
didn't
like
stay in one
me.
place. Yeah, and
Oh.
so I would just up and leave, and then I worked, came back into London, ended up in customer service for many years. I
Mhm.
think altogether probably about 10 years or so. And I got to a point where I was really sort of in a feeling dead end,
Mm.
feeling
Feel
like,
like stuck, like you had
yeah,
reached your ceiling and you didn't quite know what else to do, where you were going.
yes. And I'm thinking to myself, is this what
This is
life is about? Is this it? Is this it? I went sort of in a, maybe I would say depression even.
mm,
And I'm trying to move away from my sort of move away from the relearning new things.
right.
Sort of, this is the point where I am definitely merging my African background, or where I grew up in Uganda, with the UK,
Right.
or the British way of living, of life. This is when, 20 years later, that's when I am, maybe 15, sorry, 15 years later, this is when I'm feeling like, okay, well, there must be more to life than this. It can't be just about work. It can't be just about this,
Mhm.
just a desk job. What else is out there? So
Can I ask you, did you feel that by that point you had settled into the UK? Do you feel that you had assimilated and you were part of the culture?
yes and no, because
Mhm.
one, I think some things that I struggled with in the UK where I think I settled in quite well, because I went into college quite quickly, maybe about 6 months into the UK. I was in
All right.
college and I was socializing, I was making friends, I was
Mhm.
in work, so I didn't have struggles in terms of making
Right.
friends. I'm a sociable person. But I think where I found the struggle is that I felt I was less advanced in my thinking than my counterparts.
Mm.
And so the culture shock almost came 15 years later.
Mm,
Um, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I need to let go of my sort of past,
mm,
my upbringing. Because when
mhm.
you grow up in the African culture, you don't really talk about your feelings that much. And
Right.
sort of any sort of trauma that I may have gone through,
Mhm.
um,
Doesn't get swept under the rug.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So it all sort of came crumbling down
mm,
at about
mm.
15 years later. And
Right.
I am thinking, okay, Sophia, you do need to do something different.
Right.
This is not life.
And so
So
is that with social work? How did you find out
yes.
about social work or
So
learn?
then this is so my journey in social work starts me letting go of my 9 to 5 job at the
Mm,
time, saying
mm,
that's it, getting the courage to let go completely. And I left my job. I
mm.
didn't know what I was going to do. Left my job completely. I know it was good money, but
It
I'd
sounds
say,
familiar.
yeah. I
Remember?
know your story of upping and leave. So I think I did something similar like you. I let go of my job, moved out of London, just gave up because I by then I realized I didn't have to have the pressures of renting. Thankfully, I
Mm,
had my sister. So I moved in with my sister. I packed up all my belongings, just put it in storage, just completely detached myself from these things, from the busy life, from the coffees. I was getting, you go through Cafe Nero or something and
mm,
you're working, you're socializing, all of that busyness. I let go of it. I completely shut down, went away. And during that time, that's when I'm realizing that there must be more to life. I know that I want to help people. I know that I am passionate about change, the sort
mhm,
of the humanitarian. I was thinking more big humanitarian, wanted to work for UN and wanted to work for
mm.
all those, international organizations to help back home in Africa somewhere.
Okay. Oh, we've lost her again. She's going to be coming back. Okay, so that's huge. So I'm thinking about assimilation. I'm thinking about where she's had this kind of crash emotionally, thinking about all her attachment styles and her traumas and things like that, and having to do that and navigate that in a place where it's a country that she does not know, and where things are done very differently from how they were in Africa. So she spoke about coming here and seeing her mother manage the household, the interactions between her siblings, which were the children at the time, and her mother was very different from what she experienced, but also what she expected when she came here as somebody from Africa. And so I'm thinking about that in line with fast forward to where she is right now. And she's saying that she's feeling stuck in her job and she just needs something different. And so she's looking now at social work as a way of being able to move forward. And what for me is standing out already in Sophia's story is the fact that she is, I'm going to add you back. What's standing out for me in this story already is the similarities, number one, between ourselves in terms of our free spirit of getting up, going whenever we want, wherever we want. I love that. And not being afraid to take chances. So that is something that is kind of built innate within you, Sophia, from what I'm hearing. But I'm also hearing, in line with what you're doing now, in going into full independence, I'm hearing that there might be a link between your own experiences of being in Africa, growing up in a certain way, not talking about traumas and the like. And it's not very dissimilar to the Caribbean culture, even over here in the UK or in the West Indies for that matter. So I think within many cultures, these are things that are not really discussed, in fairness. I don't think it's exclusive to the Black culture in any way, shape, or form. And it's good that now where we are in society is that it's on everyone's agenda. It's something that we can talk about, certainly over here in the West. So, but your experience of that, and then coming from Africa in that kind of culture to then coming here to the UK, having to settle, all of those things, I'm already hearing the connection of what you're leading into and what your passion is and why you're doing what you're doing. So I'm excited to hear more about this just now. So, okay, so the thought about social work came, and then you went into social work and you studied. You did a 3-year degree, right? I guess, like everyone else. Talk to me about what you thought social work was going to be like in this country, and what did you know about it in Africa? Like, what did you have something to compare it with?
Not at all. I actually did not have anything to compare it with. I
Mhm.
had no idea that what I wanted to do was social work, because I did a business degree when I came out of my job. And
Mhm.
I also gave it up in the middle of it because I knew this wasn't me. Um, and I'm still finding myself. So it took me knowing God
Mm.
and then starting to do my own research.
Mhm.
Then I landed on the
Mhm.
social work as a profession.
Mm.
That's how I got to it. But I was still doing my business and administration degree um, at Thames Valley University. At the time, it was Thames Valley, but that's what I did. And then I had to. I think I left probably in the second semester. Then went on to starting to do research when I found that social work was the one that will give me a qualification, but also my calling. I call it my calling.
Mm.
It was my calling. I had to really hear within my inner self that social work was it. And when I read about it, that's what I came up with, that it had to be social work. So I went back to college.
Mhm.
Went back to college, did my access, then onto the degree. 3 years. Whilst I was there, I it was really brilliant, amazing. Because it gave me space and time to get away. I was motivated, dedicated, and I said to myself, I am going to do this. This is
Mhm.
me, and everything. I enjoyed every single bit of it.
And so,
So
how many years ago was that now?
So this is 2008, 2009, because I did travel a bit. I upped for the first time in my life. I also traveled during the time I was off work. I traveled by myself to Emirates all
Okay.
alone. Yep. So, and this is the time I'm starting to come out of my shell, really like the
Mm.
woman I am, letting go of my limiting beliefs of the African culture sometimes, where you don't, I was still a child, even when at that
Mm.
age, I was
Mm.
still feeling like a child. But I
Mm.
let go of those limiting beliefs. I let go of those, sort of cultural limitations of maybe a woman, what a woman is. And that's when I realized that no, I can do this by myself. I don't
Mm.
need approval from anyone.
Yeah.
And so I it was just exactly what I needed, I think, the social work degree, because I did it outside of London, and I
Okay.
decided I was not going to be working. I had
Okay.
to make that conscious and intentional effort that
Mm.
I am.
You could just be all in for the
Yes, I was
study.
all in. And then I'm improving on my spiritual journey as well. During that time, I'm doing Bible studies and I'm
Okay.
meditating and I'm hearing myself, my inner self. It was amazing. No
Okay.
TV. I was almost like in the wilderness by myself, but there was so many people around me.
Quite
It
a
was,
journey. I'm hearing this is just so amazing. This is what I love about doing these things, or what I'm learning about you guys. This is quite a journey of self-discovery,
yeah,
of finding out who you are at your core, allowing God to lead you into your calling, and being
yeah,
willing to do that journey and take that journey and be led by him. But also I'm getting a sense of, and how I'm picturing it, like I'm picturing you in the woods somewhere, like in this green leafy place. It maybe wasn't like that, but that's what I'm picturing. And you're just discovering so many things, and there's so many light bulb moments that are happening for you as God is taking you on this journey. But
yeah,
also, I'm the feeling that I'm getting is that you're starting to feel more comfortable in your skin, in who you are, and accepting who you are. And
yes,
one thing that I would say is, because this is an experience even for myself, is that
Mhm.
the more you discover about yourself and the more you move forward is the more there is to discover. There's
Oh yeah.
always like more levels and more. God just takes you to other heights, right? In discovery and
Yes.
your purpose as well, your purpose as well. And so fast forward now into your social work career. How many years was it before you started getting the itch of this is starting to burn me out?
I
The
think
burnout itch.
I think for me it was probably within maybe year two.
Really? That soon?
Yes.
Yeah.
So me getting here now, I think it's been a
Wow.
long,
So how
much
many years are you now in?
7 years, 8 years.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
about
I thought, why did I think it was more? I thought it was
yeah.
like 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's I started 2010. So it is
Okay.
about
Yeah.
10 years. But then, yeah, 2010,
Okay.
qualified in 2013. So it's not too long when I think of, other my seniors. But
Mm,
then, yeah, within year two, I think the challenges were around parenting and juggling
mm.
parenting and being a social worker,
Right.
because I had my
Okay.
daughter just after my qualification.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where
That's a
yeah.
balancing act. Yeah. 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 I mean, I have no children, and I can remember when I worked in local authority, like managing myself was
Mhm.
enough. Was enough, let alone another little human being who like
Yes.
relies on you. I take my hat off to you. Okay. So it was in year two, and so you were going to tell me, I'm sorry, about what were you experiencing that was different from what you expected? Because the reason why I asked this, always
Mhm.
interested in this, because part of my strategy and my plan before I became a
Mhm.
social worker was my entry route in, and I intentionally wanted to work on the job while I'm studying so that I was increasing my chances of not just knowledge and experience, but also proficiency and efficiency,
Mhm.
so that by the time I qualified, I was at a different stage, which worked. It worked leaps and bounds. So it was very intentional for me. And so tell me what it was like really for you, coming out of studying, going into the real job 2 years in. Let's hear some of that.
So I sort of took a break as soon as I got the qualification.
Got you.
Um, had my daughter, but before my
Mhm.
daughter was working in substance misuse as a specialist, substance misuse, working in St. Mango's, which
Oh
was
yeah.
really good. But then when I got pregnant, the risk sort of was high, so I let go of that, concentrated on being mom. I wanted to at least have my daughter for about a year or so. I stayed home with my daughter, then went into local authority at that point, but at a very junior level. So it wasn't, and I think the challenge was that there was no statutory experience.
Mm,
That's where I found the most challenging.
got
I
you.
didn't have statutory experience or placement experience before before
Qualifying.
qualification. Yeah, before qualifying. And so I struggled a little bit to get in and get the assessed year in employment year.
Right.
So I started at a very junior level. That was starting to be the frustration because I knew I could do the job. I knew I was good at what I was doing, but I wasn't getting those opportunities because of the lack of that statutory experience. So I settled for some junior levels, social work assistant level, um, even admin. At some point I just did like supporting a practice group, a social work practice group. So then I got the social work assistant, which allowed me to do the statutory assessments. um,
Mhm.
and the frustration with that was that there was so much pressure on us, the newly qualified, that I felt there was not a lot of support and understanding in terms of juggling your parenting responsibilities, as well as your your job, because you could, okay, you work 9 to 5, but then you always work extra. So the expectation that you would have to be out until 10 p.m. when
Mm.
you've got a little one, and then
And your baby was still very
yeah,
young.
was about a year old,
Mm.
or a year and a half. So
Mm.
for me, that started the frustration, and I'm saying this
Mm.
must not be it. This is not how we should practice. We work with children, families. Why is it that I'm not getting the
It's
understanding?
ironic, isn't it?
Yes.
Quite
Why
ironic.
is it I'm not getting the understanding that
Mm.
I am a mother too, and I
Mm.
have a little one waiting for me, and I'm not
Mm.
giving her the best because I'm out 10 p.m., you know,
Mm.
and I'm expected to go 10 p.m. And then you have sort of the threats from maybe management that you will be failed on your
Right.
associate employment
Yeah.
after so much of trying
Mm.
to get onto that associate employment already. But
There's a lot of anxiety there. Just
yeah.
listening to it, it's just you're working on running on eggshells, running, not walking, but running on eggshells because you're juggling so much rather than managing it. And I imagine how did you feel? Let me not assume. How did you feel about how you were parenting and about how you were doing your job?
I was feeling very, I think I was feeling quite incompetent,
Right,
or I felt I was made to feel incompetent. I knew I do a good job, and thankfully, I think my beginnings or my childhood has given me self confidence. As much as I can maybe come across quiet and not maybe not express myself in word, but I knew that I am a good social worker, and I knew what I was about, and I had resilience. So no matter what the hardships of my childhood, this was nothing. And I continued with it, although it was running around, so much pressure. Sometimes you just sort of break down in tears, and you're
mm,
like, is this it? Um,
mm,
so there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of feeling like, um, is it, the same feeling of, is it because I am black,
right.
and my parenting is not sort of being, um it's not important
Right,
as maybe my counterpart.
right,
The observation is that my counterpart was okay to call in sick, or my
right.
work counterparts would be okay to call in sick and say, I'm ill, or my child is ill, or I need to leave for my child. But when I did it, it felt like I was a burden.
Mm,
And that's when
mm,
my frustration was really, and it
mm.
it, it was echoed by my black colleagues as well.
Mhm.
It wasn't just me. I didn't feel like I was imagining it.
Mm. And it's funny you say that because just recently, as you know, I did a talk for the Global Summit, Anti-Racism Summit with the Social Work
Mhm.
Help in America. And during my presentation, I spoke about the fact that there was, I can't remember which platform it was. I can't remember if it was Community Care or The Guardian, but there was a piece of recent research that said 1 in 5 Black social workers have experienced racism from their managers.
Mhm.
I think that was a statistic. So I'm not surprised by that. It does happen in terms of their experiences. And so that's a lot to deal with, coming from the experience that you've had, um, to finding your feet in your
Mhm.
calling,
Mhm.
thinking that, hey, I'm in my calling, I'm doing, I'm going to enjoy this, and you're not getting the experience that you want. But then also having a baby at that time, being a new mum, first
Mhm.
time mum, having
Yeah.
to navigate your way through that, and feeling that you're not getting the support. Um, is interesting. It's interesting, and that I can't imagine how difficult that must have felt. Um, I don't know whether there were feelings of guilt about how you were available for your daughter, and for yourself, even for yourself. Well, like, where did you feature in all of this, and how did you change as a person?
I actually felt a little, I don't think I felt lost. I
Mhm,
think for me, it gave me more confidence and more
mhm.
drive, if
Mm,
anything, because I know this
mm,
wasn't my first experience of this sort of treatment. Because my wanting to leave the sort of customer service, the sort of white collar, um, it was similar things. So it wasn't my first experience. And I felt no one's going to stop me.
well
It
done.
gave me more drive. No one's
Mm,
going to stop me. This is my calling. That's it. I am doing this. I am completing. And, it's sad because some of my colleagues dropped out of the
mhm.
SSGN employment.
Right.
That's how they felt. Really, we would talk among each other, the ones on the same cohort.
Mhm,
But I was saying to them, keep going, do not give in. So I thank God that I think because of my spiritual, my
mm.
resilient
Grounding.
levels, yeah, I was driven.
And the difference is that where you were on this self-discovery, you knew God had led you there. That's
Yes,
different to just like opening a book and thinking, oh, what should I do? I think it's
that's
going to be
it.
social work. It's very different, right?
Exactly.
So
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So we're going to take a small intermission. I just want to get people up to speed. For those of you that are watching, welcome. It's lovely to have you. Please do put in the comments. We want you to contribute, ask questions, and we can respond to those. I'm talking to Sophia Sebi, one of my mentees. She's currently on the Social Workers Launched a Freedom program. And we are coming to the end of the program. And I'm excited about what she's created and how she's going to be serving. And we're talking about her journey, really, as to we've just gone through what her childhood was like, who she is at her core as an individual. We've spoken about her transition from Africa to here, and seen the cultural differences in how parenting is done over here. She had her own experience of that before even becoming a mother. And then now we're talking about the fact that, really she's determined woman. She's a determined woman who knows what she wants. And where you haven't been sure, you've sought the answers, and you haven't, let up until you've got those answers and been guided and led, and you stay on course, you stay on your purpose. And I love that. There's so many similarities between you and I, which I'm just discovering and hearing about, which I'm so excited about. So we're going to be talking now. We're moving into talking now about, okay, so you're 2 years in, and you're feeling that you're not appreciated, if I may kind of paraphrase, and you feel as though this is not where it stops for you, because you know in your mind what you want to achieve and what you want to do, and the vision that's laid out in front of you right here is not what you think is connecting with what you have seen for yourself. So then tell me what you start doing. Tell me about the journey before you get to the stage of thinking about independence.
So I carry on, of course, because I'm thinking I need to pay my bills. I am thinking I need to feed this baby, this child. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay. I don't have the luxury, and also not knowing that there's an option of
Mm,
independence, and also imposter syndrome. I think for
mm,
me, more than anything, feeling like, have I acquired enough experience to deserve, you know, being
mm.
independent? Don't you need to have more, like so many years to be independent? Those are the questions that were going through my mind, and I kept just working, going to do, giving myself different opportunities in terms of a variety of the sort of
Mhm.
teams I would, be working in.
You're
So
experiencing.
yeah. So I
Mhm.
just kept working and working, and then I'm still asking myself, this is not it. But I changed, around. I went into different local authorities just to give me that variety and
You
keep
island
going.
hopped as well. How
Yes,
many islands did you hop to?
yeah, quite a
And I
few.
know that they started off sunny, because that's how it always works when you island hop, and then the
Yeah.
clouds come.
Yes,
Awesome. Wow.
yeah. So I think what gave me the push to keep going was the sort of island hopping, because I left the darkness. Then, as soon as it would get dark, I'm thinking, now I have my 2 years under my belt. I'm off, and then I'm working locum, sort of, I'm not tied into any sort of contract permanent, and I'm thinking, yes, this is freedom. And I keep working, and my confidence keeps building in terms of my knowledge and expertise. And that's when I'm starting to talk about, to sort of verbalize the
Mhm.
need for me to do something different. But I think, as we always do, we
Mhm.
sort of seek for validation,
Yes.
and you talk to your colleagues who are like-minded or family, thinking that they would be rooting for you. It's like, yeah, keep going, let's go.
Mm,
You wait for that validation, and
mhm,
validation doesn't come. So I
mm,
procrastinated quite a long time, because
mhm,
I thought about it 2 years into, starting practice after
mhm,
qualifying as a social worker. And then here we are, and I'm just coming out of my shell to say, now enough is enough. But yeah, a lot of procrastination, a lot of fear, limiting beliefs. And I think when you think about the paycheck not
mhm.
probably coming,
Tell me a bit about those limiting beliefs. What were the limiting beliefs specifically that you held?
the you know limiting beliefs about money.
Mhm,
For instance, money. Where am I going to get the next paycheck?
mm,
I haven't saved up millions.
mhm,
How can I even think about leaving this job, because I need to keep earning? And then you're thinking, how am I going to look after my family? Because the culture I come from, I look after, those in need, my family in need.
mm.
And I think trying to get away from that,
Right.
um, sort of think of myself for once,
Mhm.
took me a long time
To
to
get
say,
there.
okay, to get here, that I
Mm,
can actually let go. I don't need validation, because even if I had let go of sort of my personal limitations and trauma, emotional, stress and whatever of my childhood, still carried over these lingering thoughts of,
mm,
I'm not good enough. I'm not. I haven't got enough experience. Who am
mm,
I to even branch out? How am I?
mm,
How am I going to start? Who are you? Why do you think that, if there's been social workers for over 30 years doing this,
mhm,
what makes you think that you
mm.
can do
You're
it?
gonna
You
be the
only
one that's gonna come out and do it differently.
exactly.
Mm,
So,
mm,
and then
mm,
just wanting to wait for my maybe colleagues to say, Sophia, it's okay. You can go and do it.
mm.
And
And
I
that's
realized
difficult
that
for them to do because they're not doing it.
that's it. That's it. I was in the wrong. I was, asking for validation from probably
The
the
wrong
wrong,
people, yeah.
the wrong people.
And I
And
and I think just on that before you move on, because I think that's such a important point that you've just said. It's and I always you hear me say this, right? And any launcher that comes to me, whether they've had a breakthrough consultation or even on live streams, you'll hear me say, you must surround yourself with the people that have got the same mindset and that
oh
want to
yes,
be in the same space as you. Because if you look to those that aren't, they're not going to be able to help you. They're going to unwittingly and sometimes wittingly project their own insecurities and keep you
mhm,
back and
yes,
stop you. They're going to dampen your light. They're
yes,
gonna discourage you. They're gonna tell you all the things that could go wrong rather than tell you the possibilities of what is actually possible. And
yes,
what is you can grasp and enjoy, and that's usually because they've not done it. So somebody cannot tell you and encourage you to do something that they have not done because they've not walked the road. They have not done the journey. They don't know the pitfalls. They don't know the mountain peaks. They don't know the nuances. They don't know the bramble bushes, the thorns, the little bunnies that are going to jump out and say hello. They don't know anything about the journey. They don't know the positives and the negatives. So how can they encourage you on it and say, yes, it's worth going forward, or yes, this is how to go forward?
Mhm.
Just yeah, but I guess who else are you going to turn to other than those around you, right? So
Yes.
it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult
Yes.
one. So then
Yeah.
let's talk about now you've decided independence. How did you first hear about independence?
So I was doing some research. I decided, okay, I need to now start researching about independence. So I go onto my little laptop, start looking around. Okay, what is independence? I'm hearing about from my colleagues as well. Oh, you could do independent assessments, or you could do this, or you could do that. And I'm thinking, but this is not quite right. It's still giving me assessments, like, or just I'm still getting maybe from attached to a local authority. I'm not
Right. There's not
completely
much
independent.
difference other than
Yeah,
you're paying your own taxes and you're having
exactly.
to do the legwork of setting up a business.
Exactly. So
Right.
I am thinking, no, there must be more. There must be more. I kept looking, and then voila.
How long were you looking for?
I would say I was in and out of it for about a year because I attended some sort of open evenings as well with
Mm-hmm.
independent agencies
Mm-hmm.
to just see, but I never quite completed this whole long-winded, CV to say this is what I can do and this, and then you need a top-up course or this and all of those things that came with it. And I thought, no, 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 there must be more. For about a year, and then I came across you,
Okay.
and I think I came across you via Facebook, I believe. Either
Okay.
Facebook or I was still doing, I'm not sure if I was doing a Google search, but I know that no one recommended me to you. I found you somehow
Okay.
on the website because I kept looking. And
Okay.
then I was in touch. I got
You
in
are.
touch.
You
And
are.
here we are.
So when you found me, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, okay, she looks like she does exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Those were my thoughts because I wouldn't have I just thought, okay, let me go into this newsletter and see, send an email, or be part of the subscription
Mm-hmm.
of a newsletter, start off with that, be part of this community. This is interesting. I want to see, let me throw a stone and see what comes out. Yep, let's
See if the
see.
fish throws it back.
Yeah, and then she throws it back. She's like, hey. And I'm thinking, oops, what do I do next?
So this was 2019, right? Late
Yes,
2019.
yes.
Autumn 2019.
2019, we get onto, and then we get onto a call,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, lost. What do I do? This is what I want to do. What do you do? Tell me, what is this all about? Then you very nicely and very, as always, you talk to me, talk me through. This was the free call, the free
Mm-hmm.
consultation call.
Mm-hmm.
And then you told me what you do and how you can help me. Then we got on to a paid consultation, and
Mm.
then I talked to you about what I really wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
in
In
terms
great
of
detail.
yeah, in more detail, and it was really like laid out, and to me it became very real because it was on paper,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see the colors, I could see, the rainbows, and I could see my dream coming true.
Yeah.
Was not the same as the independent as we know it, attached to
Mm.
an organization. I wanted to be completely sovereign. So
So what beliefs then did you start developing as a result of that consultation alone?
I was I was again still procrastinating, by the way. I was still
Mhm.
procrastinating, but you know what kept me going? That you, Nicole, kept coming back. The way you serve, you kept coming back. Sophia, What have you done with this? We agreed these goals. And I'm thinking, okay, I didn't know this was part of the plan. I didn't pay you for this. What what are you doing? What are you doing? I didn't pay for this. I am not, no. So this accountability,
Dodging a pain in
account,
the butt, basically.
exactly. I'm thinking, no, 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 this is not what I signed up for. I
Giving you
just
the accountability piece you didn't ask for.
exactly. I just thought to myself, all I wanted was just a conversation, and that's it. This is what was going through my head. All I wanted was a conversation. Please, can we know you're going too far or too fast?
And this is what, and launches, I'm just going to throw this out there. Anybody that comes to me and we have any kind of conversation, there will always be accountability. And yes, I do follow up. I do
So,
follow up. So yes, that's what you get from me.
so
Mhm.
accountability, and I think what the main thing that came out of these calls with you was that I was always saying to myself, I did not have time.
Mm.
And I
So
felt like
that was a limiting belief.
yes, I always felt like I
And
did
boy,
not
did
have
it limit you. How much did it limit you?
a lot,
Mm.
a lot, because I always thought I did not have time. I was always on the rush. I was always rushing about. I didn't know it was all haphazard. I think there was no intention in doing anything
Mm.
in my life.
Mm.
So this is one big, big, big thing for me that when I spoke to you and I thought, okay, I needed to organize myself a lot, much more. It, my entire life had to be organized,
Mm.
and I got the social uh,
Goal
social
planner.
workers, yes, social workers
The
goal
goal
planner,
clutching. Mhm.
and
You
I
were in the
started.
goal clutching container. That was
Yes,
the accountability and goal setting and mhm,
yes, yes, and I
mhm.
started to write things down. If it is not written down, it does not exist.
Right. And that's
That's
actually a saying that we have within the industry in social work, and the same is true
same.
outside of social work. And
Yes.
both you and I have seen that happen in our lives where, because if I created the planner for myself initially, as you know, but it's a thing where I would tell you guys in the account in the container that if I don't write things down, it doesn't happen. I'll forget it myself. So
That's
this
it.
system that I use for myself, so I know it works. And so yeah.
That's it. So just know that was a light bulb moment, to be honest.
Mhm.
For me, that was it completely threw me, and also exciting at the same time, because I then realized where I was spending my time. All
Mm,
along, I had been procrastinating and saying I don't have time to put into sort of doing something outside of social work and me
mhm.
being a parent. So all I did was go to work, run around, come back, pick up my daughter, do all of those things, and then bed. And it was just like the same old,
Mhm.
boring, I mean, to me,
Routine.
routine. And I don't like routine. And this
Not
is
when
one
it's boring, at least.
yeah one main thing that actually even drives me a lot, to keep doing what I'm doing, to keep getting those goals done, because I don't like routine. I don't like the 9 to 5. I
Yes.
you know so me being in 9 to 5 for so long, I think I did such a great job holding down jobs, because I
Yeah.
I don't like it. And me, the fact that I did that for so long, but yet at the same time, so I needed to give myself a chance
Mm,
at doing something differently. Whatever was in my head had to come out of my head and be realized. Everything was in my head, and I
mm,
planned in my head. I maybe missed things, because so the goal planner was a godsend. I started putting things down. I started having those calls, one-to-ones with you. Then I joined a month-long goal planning with the other,
mm,
like a
mhm,
community goal
mhm,
planning um, program.
mhm,
And I'm starting to see, my dream come to fruition. I am starting to believe in myself. But one thing that was really not one thing. There's so many different things in the goal planning month long program. I was able to look at my life holistically.
Mm,
So looking at how, my spiritual life,
mhm,
getting the time, and I know my spiritual life had probably taken a little bit of backseat because of the sort of going 100 miles per
mm,
hour with social work, with parenting, and you're on the move constantly. You don't
yeah.
have that silent time, me time,
Mhm,
which I had had plenty of before baby came.
mm.
And now,
Yeah, you
Joe,
were whisking yourself off to all sorts of countries.
yes. And
Mm,
I was spiritual, my
mm,
health,
mm,
my work, that work life balance we always talk
mhm,
about as social workers. How do you deal with that work life
mhm,
balance if you're not going to actually plan, be intentional and purposeful? And
mhm,
the goal planning, just writing things down, looking at it, seeing it in front of me
mhm,
every day. It took a while, don't get me wrong. I didn't get it first time. I
mhm,
didn't, always refer back to my, journal or a planner. I didn't at all. So I did buy like goal planning from Nicole, but I didn't use it fully to the fullest.
mhm,
That's the
mhm,
honest truth.
mhm,
And but then to get into something and make it part of your life, it needs to be repeated over and over and over. It's almost like repeat, rinse, and
mhm.
what is that saying?
It's
Uh,
developing the habit, isn't it?
yeah.
And
So
it's new. So and because you, like you said, you're in a routine that's monotonous and you're trying to make a change to that routine, not
mhm,
completely, but
yeah,
add things to it. And that is going to be difficult because, what I teach of how to use the system is
mhm,
very different. It's unique. It's very,
yes.
so.
But it was so exciting at the same time, like
Mm,
something new, like that adrenaline.
mm.
It was something new, it was scary. And if your goals don't scare you, then you need to change them.
I
That's
love
something,
it.
I am learning from the best. You also, I
I
am.
love it.
I do not
Absolutely.
know. I do not think I would have made that leap of faith
Hmm.
if I did not have the mentorship that you provide. And you being then being, sort of annoying and saying, in a good way, in a good way. Sophia, have you done this? Before you know it's like I have a call from Nicole. I'm thinking, no, we didn't. Did we have a meeting? I don't remember having a meeting with you. so, so
FYI, this is what you have to look forward to if you become part of my community. Yes.
yes. So it was so good as much as it was this thing getting you out of of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
I still really I am appreciative
Hmm.
because it's gotten me to do the tasks, to be accountable, to
Hmm.
get my goals, off that list of my goals that I have set myself.
Hmm.
And the thing of having quarterly goals, I love that I have come to use. You said your goals in quarters, and I'm
Hmm.
learning. So the finances, the personal, family, your social life, your
Here,
exactly hair. There's a
everything.
hair diary, and how when you do it, your routine, your everything. So I started writing things down, and it was so good. It was, yeah, it's
But
still
I'm
good.
going to say on that though, all like joking aside,
Mm,
the fact is, I think it's testament to like the person that you are and that you really wanted a change. And I think that's really the thing here that I want launchers to get, people that are
mm.
looking at this, because people can talk, talk is cheap,
Yes, yes.
really.
Mhm,
It's about what are you going to do about it, and that's why I'm
yes.
about the accountability, because if you come to me saying you want my help and
Mhm,
you're saying you want to do something, then you got to put your action behind it, and you have to have that attitude of like nothing is stopping me, like how you said earlier on, like
mhm.
nothing is going to stop me, this is what I want. You have to have that. You have to
Yes.
have that level of grit, especially if you're going to start your own business or in
Mhm,
an industry like social work where you want to make changes, even if it's to move up the ladder. You
mhm.
have to have that grit about
Yeah.
you and say, put your money where your mouth is, really put your
Yes.
action where your mouth is and do something about it. Don't just talk, because talk is
Mm-hmm.
cheap. And we could sit here and talk all day, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to do anything about it, what's the point? And I think as
That's it.
social workers, we're really good at complaining about what doesn't work in the industry, when there is a lot of things that do work, and it's a good industry. Working for local authority, there are many good things about it, lovely experiences that you can have, the wonderful work that you can do. But the things that like beset us, we don't actually seek to change it, maybe by making suggestions, or coming up with initiatives that could help the department, or even saying, okay, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. Like, people don't do it, they'll sit and complain all day. And
Yeah.
so I think what was really different about you is that, look, you didn't have to take my calls. You could have avoided me and ghosted me, but you didn't. And that is because you really wanted the change. And even though it felt uncomfortable, if
Yes.
that chart that I use, where you look at, coming out of your comfort zone into the zone of fear, then into the learning zone, and the growth zone,
Yes.
you were willing to make, and you'd already started that journey. You'd already done a version of that. So it was something that you were actually used to. So this
Mm-hmm.
wasn't alien to you. It felt uncomfortable when you're thinking, who's this annoying girl, bombarding me and giving me this accountability I haven't asked for. But the fact is, you knew that you needed that, and you knew that you wanted that, which is why you answered the call. And when I ask you the questions, you give me an answer, and I say, right, okay, we're going to talk again in a week's time. Let
Yeah.
me know. And you were good. You actually would respond. There were a couple of times, I'm going to be honest with you, that I thought, let me see if she's going to respond, because she said she's going to do it. But let me see if she does it. And true to form, you did. And on the times where you hadn't, you were honest and say, I haven't done it, I haven't managed, and we'll have a conversation about why and get you back on track. But you are willing to do the work, is the point that I'm making. And
Yes. Yes.
so anybody that is in this situation where you're wanting to, and this is not just relating to independence, this is like anything that you want to do in life, but definitely if you want to be independent, you have to put your money where your mouth is, put your action where your mouth is, put your grit where your mouth is, put your guts where your mouth is, and actually do something about it. And you have to be willing to take that accountability, especially if it's been given for free. Take it with both hands and utilize it. So now let's talk about where you are on the Social Workers Launch a Freedom program. Before we do that, again, those of you that are watching, please do share this, tag somebody that you know would benefit from hearing this conversation, because what we're learning from this whole conversation is the kind of person that you have to be that is going to succeed as an independent social worker. And what I've heard is Sophia is somebody who, if she doesn't have the answer for something, she goes and seeks it. She doesn't give up until she's found that answer. She's willing to be led, not just by God, but she's willing to allow others who are in her scope and sphere of influence and who's obtainable to her to utilize that. She's able to see opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities, even when she's been scared to do that. She's committed to herself enough to actually move forward and take that plunge, because like, what's the worst that can happen? You're not going to die from taking a plunge and maybe things going wrong or not working out the way you thought. But what's on the other side of that are the possibilities. And so that speaks to her character of being hopeful, optimistic, and somebody who says, even if I go and it doesn't work out, I'm going to make good of it and take it to another level to get what I want. And I think that's what you really need to have. And I see that in myself. As you know, when I ditched local authority, I didn't have anything. I didn't even know that I was going to be fully independent. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what a tax return was. I knew nothing about business, but I knew I was going to figure it out. And so I think that's a great similarity that we have. And so let's talk now. I want to just say actually the growth that I saw, because when you came onto that program, the Gold Crushing Container, and you were doing kind of the work of utilizing the system as you went on. Yes, you kind of wobbled a little bit and you wasn't using it immediately, but you got into the swing of it and you were taking the accountability piece as part of the community there. But I noticed a difference because when we would talk, you would second guess yourself a lot, and you wouldn't talk in the active tense. You spoke in a very guarded way, and in a very, the word that I'm looking for is, you were conscious of what you were saying rather than being confident. um and you were cautious, so you would say, if I could do this, rather than saying when I do this, for
Mhm,
example.
mhm,
Right,
mhm.
that it was your speech and your language, but
Yeah.
it was also how you presented, in terms of not being confident and second guessing yourself. Whereas fast forward to where we are now, the social workers launched to freedom. I noticed that between then and now, when you even joined the program a year ago, you'd started your podcast. You started talking. Tell us about the podcast. Talk about what you did, and how did you get the confidence to do that?
Oh, well, so I think with the help of your program, the Social Work Launch to Freedom,
Mhm,
and about a year ago,
mhm.
something was happening in my community about politics.
Right.
So I in parallel to the Social Work Launch to Freedom, I was
Mhm,
actually also engaged in that community work.
mhm. I thought you'd started it before you started the program, though.
Did I start it? I thought
Yes, you started before then, honey, because
we
by the
started.
time,
Actually,
when
we
I remember
started
when
in
you
May.
enrolled, I
Yes, it
was
was
like, I'm
2020.
seeing the work that you're doing, and this looks so great. And we were talking about how your confidence had grown. But
Yeah.
I saw the shift from after you were in the container, and the work that you were doing. And I seen that you were popping up doing live streams. I'm like, oh, she's doing live streams. Hello.
I think it was
You had a
probably the
banner. I say, look at her go.
I think it was probably the goal plan, the goal container. I think that's where I'm shifting my mindset. I'm starting to now be confident in what I do,
Mhm,
and letting go of the limiting beliefs, letting go of this imposter syndrome, letting go, because we did talk a lot about those things.
mm,
Just being, knowing that I have the skills, the value is me. When
mhm,
I realized that the value is me,
mhm,
I started to say, well, no, if that person can do it, I can. I've got all
mhm,
these skills. Why am I still having these second thoughts? Like you say,
mhm.
the way I was coming across, I was sort of second guessing myself and not confident enough. I'm doubting, that's all. And I just thought, no, no,
Where,
no.
but
Um,
let me ask you then, where did that come from? Because I know you've done a lot of work in terms of personal development already
mhm.
prior to coming into local authority, because you spoke about kind of going off and doing traveling and breaking free. So from a personal point of view and culturally, you did it, but then when it came to work, it was still there.
It was still there. And you know why? Because I had not gotten any professional
Mm,
support
mm,
throughout that time, apart from probably counseling to talk about my maybe trauma, childhood
mhm,
trauma.
mhm,
That is all the work that I had done at the time.
mhm,
And then me being part of a community, like a church community, to spiritually, but nothing to do with my self development and self help. I
okay.
did it all by myself through searching, and through the church, and just probably doing meditation and uh
Okay.
speaking, and being maybe the how do you call it? And maybe because my dancing as well, I do dance, so I
Well,
do
okay.
dance salsa and kizomba. That's one of my passions. So everyone that I work with, I'm sure they know this is my passion. And maybe also that had already given me, I, like I said, I always had confidence, self-confidence,
Mhm.
but there's certain areas that I did not
Yeah,
have, like in business,
yeah, we all, yeah.
because you're programmed to be in a job,
Mhm,
you're programmed to go to school, have an education. That is the programming of the culture, be it the African culture or the UK culture, mainly predominantly in the African culture where I come from or grew up. You go to school, have a job, and nothing to do with being your own boss.
mm,
And the difference here was that I had the professional support. I had never had the professional support. And I also decided to listen to a lot of self-help books.
Mm,
I I am reading a lot nowadays. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of I go into Clubhouse and I listen to a lot of people speaking and encouraging. And for me, through all of those processes, reading about what the person I am, me, the self, what am I, what am I all about? All of those things have actually contributed to my confidence in terms of coming out to speak. I never really had a Facebook page, never liked having Instagram or any social media because I think the fear of public speaking. I did
mm.
attend some public speaking courses as well. So all throughout, I have attended a lot of courses, and these have contributed to my coming out. And
So you're doing that
yeah,
work.
and also
Excellent.
the humanitarian work because of my community and what the sort of
Mm.
political environment we're going through and economic, social, everything has pushed me to come out of my shell because I'm thinking, okay, if I don't, who else is? Who's going to do it? So I think that gave me confidence and I started to show up on social
Yes,
media.
you did.
Yeah. And
So,
here we
so
are.
let's talk, and here we are. So then let's talk very briefly before we wrap up. We've gone over time a little bit, but this is just so fascinating because I'm learning new things, as I said. See, I didn't know that you like salsa and Zumba and that you do all that. I used to do salsa also. So, okay, so let's talk about so the program in terms of the things. So there was self-development that you did from a personal point of view in terms of culturally you sought counseling, but there wasn't professional help in terms of personal development, which is different to counseling. Counseling is you're focusing on traumas, you're focusing on patterns and
Yes.
pathologies and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And so now in your career you kind of felt stuck a little bit and things weren't what you expected, so you realized you were determined and realized you needed more information, started doing some development there, and that also led to personal development as well,
Yeah.
naturally. So that kind of really positioned you well to think about doing the program, because then that's your next level where you understood, okay, well, I've got so far, now what next? Now that I've done all this great stuff of myself and working on myself and even to getting some understanding, because you've done a business degree which you hadn't finished, so there was some
Mhm.
stuff there already.
Yeah.
And then you were plugging into information online and learning things, and so now you want to really consolidate it and get some real help and just
Mhm.
move forward with it. And so um, tell me just maybe a couple of myths that you had about the program that were shattered at some point.
I think probably the myths were, oh, this is going to be um, someone doing it for me. It was about show me, oh, you now do this, or giving me sort of those tools of like I had nothing to do with it. And also the one big
Mm,
thing was that I'm going to just simply be talking to someone, but we're going to be sort of doing the same thing. It has nothing to do with me stepping out completely, thinking outside of the box, as I know how social work is,
mhm,
particularly when it was around the independence or
assessment
independent.
support. So,
Yeah, and the assessment, I thought it was going to be around the same thing, but then this is just to mentor and give me confidence, nothing to do with giving me the practical tools, the real tools to the
the
strategies.
nitty gritty.
Yes.
So you
So,
thought it would be a bit vague, like a bit of vague
yeah,
information and just a bit of mentoring, kind of
yeah,
pep talking perhaps, and
yes,
maybe
yeah.
a similar, maybe with accountability, telling you, okay, go off and do this and then
Mhm,
come
mhm,
back.
mhm.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So when did you realize that's not what it was?
Well, from I think from day one, from the first session where we're having I think I remember this was you're talking to us saying, okay, this is what how it's gonna run, this is where it's going to be, this is the community, the website where we're going to be doing that work, and and the lessons, going through the lessons, like, okay, oh wow, oh this is good. Okay, I can do this. Let me let me get to the next lesson. But I think for me, this was the only, I think, first program that I have engaged in to completion.
Mm.
Everything else I had started, but I hadn't finished.
Wow. Wow.
So that sort of mindset, the shift in terms of, because you didn't start off saying, oh, this is what you do and these are the tools. You started off with, this is like looking at life holistically. What
Mm.
we had to write down, go through those exercises, writing down the prep work prior to getting into the nitty gritty. And I like that you're sort of, I don't know how to call it, you're slowly, you're building it.
Yeah.
It doesn't start off like push,
It's a
that's it.
build up. Yeah, it's a build
It's
up
a
to
build
get
up.
in. Yeah.
You know, you have to get your mindset right. You brought in some speakers where we talking about mindset, looking at social work entirely a different, you know, perspective. It's not about just
Mhm.
the assessments, it's not about just as we know it, but we can look at social work as a broader picture and us as value. And when we look at the health, the, you know, we did do a detox, that was a surprise. And it was a surprise. And so everything, it was just intentional, purposeful, and just a build up to this sort of
Be
moment.
prepared.
Yeah, getting prepared. And that's what I think is what has made me to be consistent, and the accountability, the community where you go in and say, okay, this is what I've done, and just patting yourself on the back, and also having the other like-minded. It's almost like a how do you call, a mastermind, you know. It is a mastermind community, and I'm thinking every social worker needs to be in this. You know, you cannot say you want different and with you don't have the
Mhm.
mentorship. And also, I think for me, it was investing in myself. I had
Mm.
not invested in myself the way I have in this program to anyone.
Mm.
And
Wow.
even when I wanted change, I don't think I didn't want it that bad. I didn't want change then. I said it, you know, like talk is
Oh.
cheap, we say, but we don't put it in action. So me taking that step and saying, no, 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 enough is enough. I want different. I have to take the leap of faith and invest in myself and change the limiting beliefs, or my money beliefs, the limiting beliefs about money, how I thought about money. Now I don't feel, I don't have second thoughts in investing myself or parting with my money,
Mm.
because I just see it as another medium, you know, it's an exchange.
And it's a business expense. Once
Yeah,
again, it's business, so
that's it.
tax
So yeah,
deductible.
so the change
Yeah.
on how you look at money, your
Mhm.
limiting beliefs, when you know, our culture, our parenting, you know, the
The
parenting we receive.
scarcity mindset of if I spend this,
Yes,
how am I going
thank
to get this
you.
back? But you're
Yes,
not thinking that actually I'm spending it to learn something that I'm going to monetize.
that's it. That's it.
Hmm.
That was it. That has been it. I think the most important, that has
Hmm.
freed my mind
Hmm.
to give myself a chance and take a leap of faith.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. And you say that this is the only course that you've seen to completion, which is excellent. And as I said to you, I've said this to you before, that, you know, you are really, you do the work, you look at the lessons, you implement it, you show up to every single session, you're doing the work, and you're just coming on leaps and bounds. And I love that you're also an independent thinker, in that you will go and, you know, consider, okay, what else is out there, what else can I, you know, this has been suggested, but what else could I do that can complement that or add to that? Or maybe that's different, that is more of a fit for me. And even though it may not always work out, the
Yeah.
point is that you have that mindset and that you're willing to do that. And that shows real leadership, because that's what you need to do when you're a leader, when you're a CEO, when you're moving your business forward. You need to be able to be willing to take those calculated risks, and also knowing when, okay, how do I cut my losses and move on? But the fact is, you've got those skills. Those skills are there, and I think this program, I think that you've learned so much in it from what I've seen in terms of your implementation. So share some of the things, the practical things that you've learned.
Oh wow, I don't even know where to start, but there's so much of learning in this program. I have learned that there's been a lot of things around finances, for instance. This is something that I did not expect, to be honest, actually, to be part of the program. How to manage your finances, how to do the budgeting, for instance. I've learned the skills of creating programs, content. That I'm sure, some of you, if you've seen some of my, posts, Instagram and Facebook, this is all thanks to Nicole. The skills, knowing the systems, where to go to be able to create, the strategies to implement, things like where to, how to build a landing page, for instance. Landing page is something that it's sort of my profile to invite others to come and see what I can offer them, how I can serve. So it's not a total website, but I have learned how to create it, and I've created one for myself. I have learned what is a CRM, which is a customer management
Relationship
service,
management.
where
Oh,
you have
yes.
the automation. I have learned how to goal planning, because I've purchased your goal planners, and I've learned how to set my goals, how to be accountable to myself, because I won't always
Yeah.
have you there or other people. But I have learned that if I don't do
I'll
this,
always be here, but the
I know,
accessibility might look slightly different.
I know, but I've learned to set time aside, be purposeful, intentional. I've learned the main thing is that because I have the skills of knowing how to organize myself with the goal planner, with the community, knowing where to go with the newsletter, for instance, or part of the social work launch to freedom community, just being there, knowing where to seek the information, knowing how to build a site, knowing how to create a landing page, knowing how to do a live, for instance,
Live stream.
how to branding is everything. How to brand, yes, yes. And I think I initially got introduced to branding and how to, find out the avatar, like who are you serving, for instance. Branding myself in terms of how my archetype, how what colors suit my personality. That I did not know before I met Nicole. Now I know, and it's given me the confidence to keep doing some more research. And if Nicole says, okay, this is something that you need to do, you look into the branding and stuff. I've learned all of these, nuggets, bits and pieces, and you've given case studies on how to to do how do you call it, a transformational
Mm-hmm. Blueprint.
transformational
Mm-hmm.
journey.
And your logo.
Yes, the logo,
Mm.
colors, website, everything
Mm.
from scratch. How to build a business, and how to build a business in terms of the strategies, because the foundations need to be right, and you've given all those tools to have that foundation right before I jump in. And that means it will save me lots of more money in terms of, if I'm after the program. So money saving, budgeting,
Mhm.
everything, name it, everything, healthy eating,
Mm.
spiritual.
And also outsourcing. Don't forget, you one of
Yes,
your
yes.
last modules, the last two modules actually was about uh, having strategic partnerships to provide a wraparound service to your clients, but also you know, how to hire out and contract
Yes.
as well.
Yes,
So,
you can contract work. You can
mhm,
hire virtual assistant. How do you do it? You don't have to do
or your
all the
template.
work.
Mm,
That's it. How to create your own templates. As long as you've got your brand name, you've got your logo, you've got your colors sorted out,
mm,
everything else, you don't necessarily have to take on all the load and stress
mm.
yourself out and burn out. That's the main
And the
thing.
key thing that I think, like in terms of what you're creating, you're the African social workers buddy, and the African social work buddy.
The African parent buddy.
African parent buddy. I'm getting you confused with Nosinle, who is
Yes.
the African social workers guru. Um,
Yeah.
you are helping parents who have come from Africa that are struggling to really understand the culture here in terms of managing their child's behavior,
Mhm.
settling into the country, and knowing how things are done here and that are part of the social work system. Or not, because ideally what you know we really tend to work on is prevention and
Yes.
doing preventative work so that people don't even get that. It's about educating people
Mhm.
ahead of time. But
Mhm.
you're there if they are already at that stage and you're fully independent. So, you know, that is going to be up and running, and you've got your launch strategy of all the
Yes.
things you need to do first, second, third, fourth, from month to month when you
Mhm.
become fully independent, which we're not going to tell people the date, but it will be this year. We have an
Yes.
actual date because I'm all about accountability. So we actually have a specific date. It's not just a month. You know, we
Mhm.
actually have a date. What we don't have is a time, but a date is enough.
Yes.
And so, like 12 noon on such a date. No, we have a date that will do,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
that's the date that you're going to be opening the doors to the world. And between now and then, you know exactly what you're going to be working on day by day, week by week, and of course, you will have the container to come into for that ongoing accountability and support piece. So. Yeah, this has been such a wonderful conversation. We've done an hour and a half, which is a half hour more than what we wanted to do. We've still got our soldiers with us looking. Somebody on LinkedIn said investing in ourselves is the greatest expense we could ever make. Absolutely.
That's right. Yes.
What we see here in Sophia is the how it can propel you, and you see the investing has got to come way before you even meet me to become
That's it.
independent. You have to have already had that mindset of, you know, I'm worthy enough and I want this in my life. And so whatever it is in my life, I'm going to take that same attitude and implement and go learn and go do. And that will ordinarily translate to then when you want to become independent, you're going to do something about it. You're not going to be somebody that just sits and goes around in circles and says, oh, I want to do it, but then actually make no moves and make all the excuses.
Yeah.
Because I think you'd agree, Sophia, at some point it gets to a point where it is excuses as to why you're not moving forward.
Oh, yes.
It's the limiting beliefs, as you said, it's yourself holding yourself back, um, you know, and it's just all the things that are not true, um,
Mhm.
that keep you stuck. And when you're willing to move forward, even if you're nervous or unsure, hey, this is the result. You've gone from, you know, coming to the UK, um, deciding that you're going to do a career change into social work, thinking social work was going to be one way you start it, and then it isn't doing anything the way you thought it would. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to be independent. I don't even know, this is not what I want independence to look like, but I'm going to go figure it out. I'm going to see what I can do to put something together that more aligns with me. And you were searching, and because you were
Mhm.
searching, you were led, and I showed up and popped up. And you know, a year later, you know, well, it was more than a year later because
Yes.
you came
We're like
in
2.5
2000.
years.
Yeah, but
Half
you
years.
started
2 years.
doing that groundwork already, and when the
Yes.
program became available, you jumped on it. You jumped
That's
on it.
it.
And so, you know, I just think that it's the tenacity for me, it's the commitment to yourself, and to, without you even realizing, it's also a commitment to the people that you're going to be serving.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what it's
Yeah.
really about, because
Yeah.
you know, if you can be bothered to make changes for yourself, imagine how much you're going to do for those people that you're serving. You're going to be in a better place. And because you've been through the experience and you've walked the journey, you've walked on the coals of fire of transformation in yourself, you can hold somebody's hand in whatever capacity. And so this is also something for those of you that are looking, that are saying, okay, you know, I feel a little stuck in my work, but do you know what? Um, as an individual, I've made a transformation. I was maybe very overweight, and I made that transformation, and now I've got my health in order. I'm managing and stabilizing my weight because my lifestyle has changed. You can transfer that, and that same mindset, you translate that into what you want to do for your career. You do not have to be stuck. And I think everybody's done something where they've overcome and they've made a transformation, but they don't necessarily know how to connect the dots and translate it. And so if that is something that you can think to yourself, okay, yes, I have done something, but I don't know how to translate this. Hey, get in touch with me, you know, and I can help you figure that out, because I want, you know, any social worker who's not happy where they are in their career, they need to be happy for what we do. And the people that we serve, they need us to be in a place where we are happy and are serving from an overflow. We shouldn't be giving them anything less than 1,000,000%. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a way where social workers are not showing up and doing the best that they can. But I do feel there are times where we have to stop and focus on us to give better and give more, and better quality. And I think the people that we work with deserve that. We deserve that. So I've loved this conversation, Sophia. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, that you'd like other people to know?
Nicole, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. But what I want to let people know is that Nicole is the bomb. Yes, honestly, in a, not literally, but I am telling you, you will not find a better mentor than Nicole. I am saying that from the bottom of my heart, because I am telling you exactly. I am telling you, I speak to my colleagues and my friends who have become my friends now, social workers, all the time. And I speak to them, saying to them, give yourself a chance, take a leap of faith. Because they do talk to me about burnout, and they don't like where they are now. And I'm saying to you, you can do it. You do not have to stay where you were. It does not have to be that way. And remember, you can procrastinate all you want. Nothing will change until you move. You are the only one to make it happen. You might try to change your situation. For instance, you cannot change your manager. You cannot change, because it's out of your control. But you need to take control of your life. And it doesn't mean that you will not do what you're passionate about, working with children and families, for instance, or working with individuals. You can do it, but it doesn't have to be the status quo. It doesn't have to be business as usual. It needs to be, we need to sort of come out of ourselves, of the business as usual, of this substandard. I'm not saying the social work is bad, but I'm saying we need to give better. We need to revolutionize social work. And this is, Nicole is really doing it, and I'm joining this whole movement. So you better join this.
You've joined already.
Yep. I have joined this movement, and you better join the movement, because you are not going to move away. And what better mentor to actually help you move from where you were as a social worker and create your own business than Nicole, who has been there before. She's been there, she's done that. So I'm not trying to sell anything. All I'm saying is that this is from my heart, and this is my experience. I'm saying knowledge is power. We know what we know, but it is not power until it's applied. And take a leap of faith.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. Thank you. All joking aside, but thank you for that, because I think you're right. I think what I experienced as an independent, and I didn't it when it dawned on me, the privilege of independence was when I became quite unwell, and I had my diagnosis, and and my feet didn't touch the ground with hospital appointments. And it was only because I was independent that I had the flexibility to do what I wanted. I needed a break, and I went to Malaysia for a whole month, you know, and then I came back and I went to Wales, I went to Scotland, I went to Toronto that year. I just did whatever I wanted to, you know, I really didn't hold back. Even last year, I went to Portugal for 3 weeks, and I stayed for 3 months because I liked it. And my work didn't stop.
Yeah.
It didn't, in fact, my income increased. It just, there are really, 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 the benefits of independence and the scope of freedom and flexibility in the way that I've created it for myself, and the blueprint that I've created, you know, that I pieced together, that I realized I had done. I want all social workers to experience that. I really do. And that's why I teach what I teach, and I share everything that I'm still learning from my mentors that I'm paying. You know, I filter it into my program, so you're getting it, so you're not having to go around and cobble it together and piece it together, which is what I've had to do. I'm giving it to you in its entirety because I want to make it easy. What has taken me, you know, 5-6 years to learn, even though I'm in year 7, what's taken me 5-6 years to learn and piece together and realize how to piece it together, which is when I started late 2019. You know, I want you to be able to do that in as little as 4 months, which is my Accelerate Now program, or a year if you choose. And no longer than that. You know, it is possible to do it, but life happens. And so if it takes you a little longer, okay. But the key thing is that you know exactly what you need to be doing. It's just a matter of you being consistent and chipping away at it. And you can collapse that time or extend it as short or as long as you want, but you know what needs to be done. And that's the big difference. And so I just really want to commend you, Sophia, with all that you have committed to yourself, to those that you're going to serve, you know, African parents in the UK that are, you know, going to need that support and help from somebody who's fully independent, to help them understand what it means to be in this country, and understand the differences of what's expected legislatively, and other ways, like learning other ways of managing their child's behavior or their young person's behavior, and deepening their relationships, and making that cultural shift and understanding how to do that, because you had to do it. You had to do that. You experienced it, and you saw the difference in the nuances of what it was like in Africa being parented, and then seeing your siblings and your mother parenting your siblings, and how different that was. And so you've got your own personal experience that you can draw on, which is powerful. And I didn't know that. So this is an eye-opener for me. And now it makes sense as to why, you know, this was something that we ended up, because you had other ideas. But when we narrowed down and we looked at your niche, look at how this is what you ended up gravitating to. And that's the power of niching down and specializing, that you're drawing on that God has led you into this social work, right? And here is part of where you're getting to. And I think that there's so much more that God's going to reveal to you about this journey, and about what you're meant to be doing with this community as you go forward, as he's done even with me with social workers. And so this is very exciting, very, very exciting. So we have some comments here. Love revolutionizing social work. Absolutely. We're revolutionizing independent social work specifically. Zainab in YouTube, thank you for joining us, is asking, can you tell us about your experience, please? Zainab, could you be specific and tell us what part of the experience are you asking her about? Is it about her personal experience? Because we did a whole 30-40 minutes on that, so you might, depend on when you joined, you might have to go back to look at that. And if it's about the experience in social work, she's also shared that. If it's about her experience on the program, she's also shared that. But there might be something very specific that you were asking about, which is why I'm asking that. Cynthia has shared her email. Would love to learn more about your program, Nicole. Absolutely. I will DM you. You're on LinkedIn, so I'll DM you a link where you can go on and you can apply to look at, and you can go onto my website, even nicolemlouis.com. I'll put that up here for you to see. It's scrolling down the bottom here. You can go onto the website and you can find out more there. But if you've still got questions, of course, you could just DM me, Cynthia. I'll take a note of your email here. So thank you for sharing that. If there are any other questions, you're welcome. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask before we log off. We've done a marathon. We've almost done 2 hours. Blimey, look at us chatterboxes.
I know.
I love talking shop. I could talk about independence all day. I love it.
It's amazing. Whew, I am excited, honestly. I'm excited. And I get excited when I know the possibilities. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Oh,
that's what motivates
yeah.
her. Because same with me. Listen, sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got this, that, and the other to do. Because now I'm at the mature stage of my business. I'm actually working on my exit strategy. And I have my ministry that I'm doing also
Amazing.
separate to that. So when I think about it, sometimes it can be overwhelming because there's still things that I'm
Yeah.
creating. Watch this space because I've got things coming up for social works and independent social work. I've got a challenge, another challenge coming up. So if you're not part of the email community, go onto the website, nicolemlouis.com, and become part of the launch community. It will pop up. Just fill in your details. You'll get my 5 simple steps to independent social work practice, which is a guide, workbook, and checklist. And you'll get some other videos, free videos and stuff after that. But it's a one for only the email list. So people that are part of the launchers community, this will be a challenge coming up this month. And so I'm really excited about some things I've got coming up. And it can be overwhelming when I think of it, but the excitement around it is what keeps me motivated, like yourself. And so, yeah, there's so much on the horizon. I'm just so excited about what you guys are creating on this program. And all of you have worked so hard and done so well. And I'm just proud of you. I'm proud to have you part of my community, proud to have you not just as a mentee, but as a friend as well now. So thank you
We
so much
love it.
for trusting
Yeah.
me with your journey and let me be part of your journey. It's lovely.
I appreciate you, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me as well.
You're very,
It's
very
amazing.
welcome.
Thank you.
So watch this space, guys, because what I'm probably going to do again when all of my mentees, when they get close to their launch, where they're actually opening the doors, we're going to be doing yet another live stream where we're going to be going ham on what they are providing and just getting the word out there. So this isn't going to be the last that you're going to see of Sophia and I having this conversation. We will be back again. So I'm going to say thank you so much. I know you have your daughter, and I'm going to allow you to release you so that you can go spend some time with her, and then I'm going to finish up here. So thank you so much, Sophia, for coming on and giving us your time.
Thanks, Nicole. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for being on here. Thank you. Bye.
So, guys and gals, oh, that was a marathon. That was such a juicy conversation. I learned so much. Listen, I have spent every week with Sophia for the past year, and I'm just learning about many of the things that she shared about her love for Zumba, salsa. I used to do salsa too, about her coming from Africa and having these experiences here in the UK, and just going to boarding school, all these different things. It's so amazing to learn about all these things. Thank you so much for those of you who have participated, that are giving you a listening ear, those of you that asked questions and commented. If you are interested, I know, Cynthia, you've already expressed an interest about the program, the Social Worker Source of Freedom program is a program that opens for enrollment once a year. We're just finishing up, so I'm going to take a bit of a break in between and open it up for enrollment. I'm not sure yet whether it's the summer or winter, but you know, as long as you're part of my community, you'll get access and you'll get notifications. I do have the Accelerate Now program, which is my 4-month program that gives you all the learning. And where the difference with that is where I'm actually meeting with you. When we meet on a weekly basis, I'm doing it with you. I'm creating your business with you and giving you the tools. So it's slightly different. It's not as expanded and stretched out. And so there's less that you're having to figure out. And so if that's something you're interested in, you can put in the comments. You could put AN, capital AN, which stands for Accelerate Now. And I will absolutely kind of DM you and tell you the next steps. So thank you so much for your listening ear, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. I have a challenge coming up. I have more live streams coming up. So if you want information about when I'm going live, when all these things are happening, you need to be part of the community, and you will get that access and that information. So again, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.